Any response from the audience on the question that we're asking here about digital literacy in schools?
Well, maybe just one question.
Yeah, there's a microphone somewhere.
Otherwise, just keep chatting.
Oh, you have to share your microphone.
Hi, my name is Dean Antinholt from Capgemini, and I was actually just wondering, who was this whole exercise more beneficial to? I mean, you guys are sitting up there, the senior executives like me, you know, you're somewhat older, you're experienced, and you're here to coach the people. But I have a 12-year-old digitally literate daughter as well, and just last Saturday we went to one of these coding days of the EU. And actually, in many cases, one of the key skills is not just the technology, but also the creativity in using it.
Yes.
And actually, the ICT skills of 10 years from now might be less technical, but require more technical creativity.
Mm-hmm.
But in these whole sessions you had, and in shadowing each other, was it more beneficial to the juniors or to the seniors? Because actually the seniors, you guys lack the creativity and you're so stuck in your old habits. So did you find it valuable as well?
Anybody want to take that? Gary, you want to take that?
I'll answer that. I think I have maybe the advantage of one of the old people on stage too. I have a 21-year-old daughter, I have a 2-year-old daughter, and I get to work with education and youth much more frequently than most of us do. But I read through a number of the comments from the shadowing, the executive shadowing that happened. I saw more positive comments from the executive side than I did from the youth. I think they took a lot from it, but I think certainly I took more from it than I might have given to Carlotta through the experience. To me, the thing is there's a lot to learn. We're focused on e-skills in youth. There's a lot to learn to be employable. There's a lot to learn to employ as well. And that's the role that the executives play today. And I'll give you one example. I've never written a job description that didn't say college degree required. Now, I don't know why I required a college degree for every job I ever specified, but it's a habit or a tradition. And I think that when you interact with the next generation of employees, you need to look at the way in which they think, the way in which they learn, and the way in which they behave. I love the comment about get involved in the strategy of the company, because too often we say we expect the lower ranks to follow the strategy of the leadership. It's not going to work. Things are moving too fast. Things are changing too fast. And so you have to have a different level of engagement. We have to look for different ideas and different skills and a different profile of how the learning happened. That's where the value comes out of this. As an employer, I can leverage resources of young people to do things if I enable them to do it, if I understand how they do that, and then I make that possible. And I think that that's a big transition that needs to happen. Certainly, we need to transition education and teaching, and all these things are very important. But it also has to translate into what jobs are available, how do we specify those skills, how do we look at those differently? It's a great question, and I think that this is a great example of how young people are thinking about this differently, and hopefully people like the old people up here like me are open to this and willing to change ourselves. But thanks for that.
I can underline that a lot of the feedback we got from the leaders was indeed along those lines, that they learned, it was the day they learned the most in a very long time. So that was great. Can I move to you, Sergio, from Alcatel-Lucent? How do you address Carlotta's problem, which she said is attracting young people to the ICT sector, because people say it's difficult, it's too hard, they think it's all those years of technical study, I don't know, it's all these nerds. What is it that's turning young people away from ICT? What can we do about it?
First of all, can you hear me? Mm-hmm. First of all, I think having a session like this, I agree with what he was saying. This session is important more for us than for them, in my view. We can listen, we can learn, we can understand how they think and how the future will be. Second, again, is our problem, the reason why we don't attract people. ICT is a fast-growing segment, one of the few probably. It can have a great future, a lot of jobs, but there are not enough people, not enough talent, not enough motivation. Why? Because the people think that it's boring.
But they think it's boring.
Boring, yes. I believe when you think about someone working in ICT or, I don't know, doing what we do, Alcatel-Lucent, doing a system for telecommunication, it's complex, it's hard, it's done by people that they talk their own language that we don't understand. It's a strange language done by acronym. We don't understand what this stuff is really used for. These people have social problem. Yes, of course, they are a bit strange. That is not true. I'm working in this field for 35 years, and I have fun each single day. Fun each single day. Today, I have fun to be here with you. I have fun. I had fun when I was a young software engineer, and for me, coding is key. But look, some people think, oh, coding is for engineers. Coding is like to write music, in my view. It's creative. Is enabling your creativity to do something that after you see the result concretely is one of the best jobs you can do, but the message is not passing. So for me, the big problem about how to attract young people is communicate. Start, all of us, to talk a language that the people can understand. Start to link what we do in our companies, telco, can be data centers, can be software, everything, with the real life. When you touch your iPhone and you start to do something, all of us here, probably our companies, they have their own piece inside this. You don't see it, but it's there.
Yeah.
Otherwise, no way. So, start to talk a language that is understandable. I think it's important that we start to evangelize
Yes?
the people starting from the school. We start to make them playing with ICT, having fun, coding small programs where they can see that it's really nice to do it, that they can do their own game, for example. So, going this way. For me, this is key. On the other side, I also think that our learning space has to change.
The learning space.
The learning space. I'm going a bit out of this point, but because we said we need to evangelize, we need to have the younger generation to be more aware of ICT, more aware of what they can do with it and within this sector. I think ICT is also a big enabler for a new way of learning. I was discussing with Jacopo before. He said, I have a professor that is not very good in this stuff. What I did, I connected with the MIT. I had a look at MIT session about this. I understood clearly what I need to learn, and I did my examination with great result. So for me, more and more, we would have to go in a direction of checking the result, then more to constrain the people about how they are learning. And the school has to be more learner-centric, more than teacher-centric, and be the organization that is driving our young people to take advantage of the huge quantity of data that sometimes they can be also misleading because there are so much. So for me, I repeat, ICT is the funniest place to work. First. Second, we need to start to make this visible to everybody, talking a simple language, working with the schools, and also changing a bit how we teach our people in the school to be on our side. That's my view.
Well, this point is very well taken, because I think all the people who have been experimenting with how you can do this, they've all come to this conclusion where trading spaces, outside, inside, and it starts to be a lot less defined, the walls come down. I think most people have arrived at that point. It's just a question of how you can scale that up and how you can do more. And on your point about coding, I heard a young woman speaking on the BBC about coding, and she said it's like learning French. You just have to get yourself to be bilingual. And you speak your language, and then you speak the language of coding, and she found it much more on the creative side of the line than on the theoretical side of the line. For her, it was something quite beautiful. So it was very interesting, and she was just 16, but how she described it was very, very nice. Jacobo, I want to ask you, when you shadow somebody like this, or when you have a chance to work with somebody like this, is that motivating for you? Is that something that helps you get inspired into these kinds of areas of work, or were you already there and you were just looking for confirmation?
I mean, we were talking before about ICT, and before the conference I was thinking, what is ICT sector? I just put out my smartphone and I think, okay, smartphone is ICT, right? Okay, he is really good in motivating people about ICT sector, and I've got also want to point out the topic of the change that is we were talking before. It was funny because yesterday at lecture at university was a quote about ICT, and was in 1977, and was Ken Olsen, the founder of Digital Equipment Corporation. He said, "There is no reason anyone would want a computer in the home." Now we know he's completely wrong, right? I want also to bring two stories. In the last week I met two very important people. Their speeches wasn't about ICT, but at a certain moment they talk about ICT. One was the ex-prime minister of Italy, Enrico Letta, and while he was talking to us about his story, he said, when I was young, I was going to bank like 3 times a week to check my account. Now you just open a tablet and you get to your online banking. The other one was Sergio, that is the chief insurance officer of the Generali Insurance, so one of the biggest company in the insurance sector. And he pointed out how dramatically the sector has changed due to ICT sector. For example, now you can stipulate contract online. Now you have the opportunity to manage data in a faster way and a better way. And there is also the introduction of the black box card that will dramatically change the way that the insurance gets premium. So my message would be, why should I be attracted? I'm a digital native, and in my daily life I'm used to use technology, and in today's world everything is digital, and so these skills are fundamental.
So for you, it's just the air you breathe, in a way. It's the way you go forward, and the question is how quickly industry will respond to those changes, correct?
Yeah, it's just daily life.
No, go ahead.
It's just daily life. There was a funny video that is called "How to Survive Without a Smartphone." And I mean, if I think now, for me, it's not possible like to go out without my email to check my Facebook or Twitter or whatever.
Yeah.
So ICT is part of us in every sector in daily life, and we should be aware of this, and we should try to learn it because it's fun. If I have to develop an app, I mean, I was looking for an app for transport in Trieste and cannot find it. If I have the skills, I can develop my app.
Yeah. Carlo, you wanted to respond to that?
Can I respond? So we revert a little bit again.
No, that's okay.
I would like to underline how much what you said is true. In July, we organized a session, when the Italian government started the semester of the presidency, Renzi decided to do a digital event, so an event on digital. And we participated to that with some partners, and we invented something which is called Restart Europe. And it's 161 people of 20-something. And we helped them work in 5 groups to recommendations on how digital can change Europe. And it's exactly what you said. So something that, on a digital agenda of 28 countries, we have people trying to figure out what the country needs. They know it already. These 161 young people, they define 50 recommendations for Europe in just one day. If you read it, you have the digital agenda probably for the next 20 years. So they know it much better than those who believe are experts of the thing. And just a second answer about Trieste. Soon you're going to see in the city something to work, bottom up, so kids, old people, university people, everybody, citizens, to work on what the services should be for the city. So that we do not decide top down what is needed, but we decide bottom up and then we build it, which is a different way of doing things.
Okay, so now I'm going to move back to you, Gary, because if what we understand is there's a certain level already in the younger generation coming into the marketplace, coming into the economy, they are digital natives, they have a lot of our ways of working already, then what's the next step? Because as everybody has said, they might be very literate or smart with their phones, but they might not necessarily know how that technology works or how it can be developed. So what's the next step that they have to bear in mind?
Well, very simply, the next step is don't be afraid. Don't think that any concept or any technology or any change in interaction is too difficult to understand or too technical for your ability. You mentioned some very important statistics at the front of the introduction of the presentation here that are not Cisco numbers. They're the numbers that the entire IT industry is looking at as an evolution of what will happen in the world in the next 6 to 7 years. And 50 billion devices being connected to the internet is a very real thing that every single industry and every single job is changed by this. The fact that we have 13 billion devices connected today is interesting, but it's less than 1% of the devices that can be connected to the internet. So we have 99% to go. The coding example that's been talked about here is you need to know coding, you need to know coding. And that's a really interesting, it's an important topic. It's an interesting topic because, again, in the spirit of not being afraid, there is a different type of coding that is emerging through this change as well. And we say you need to know coding, but you don't need to know coding to the ability to develop Microsoft Windows, which is a huge application and code base. It's taken years to evolve. It's massive. Or you don't have to know coding to be able to write your own version of Call of Duty. You need to know coding to control a sensor on a farm reading temperatures and moisture to communicate out. You need to know coding to do a small change on your own smartphone, and you can do this. And you can learn this on your own. You can learn this in online material and online courses. The big thing is not to be afraid and to continue to question and continue we say we want to inspire to aspire, inspire to aspire. And the goal is to create the opportunity for students and for youth as represented on the stage to really see the possibilities. As was pointed out to us so eloquently, we may not, as the previous generation, see those opportunities fast enough. We can capture this. But if I said anything to you that said, don't be afraid of this. Don't assume that what you saw yesterday and how you get into technology is what you'll see tomorrow. Anybody can do this. Anybody can learn how to code. If they learn how to write, they can learn how to code. And anybody, just as we said before, we were dealing with a different digital literacy 20 years ago. And people say, well, look, don't be afraid of the computer. Anybody can use a computer. And it's true. Anybody can do these things. And the opportunities to learn these things will expand in the schools and the education systems, online, through all the opportunities that are being created.
Well, then you're making me think of the next point that would be very linked, because we have a digital entrepreneur here, started a business totally based on all of this, but this, by definition, there is both the coding part, the technology part, and the business part, the entrepreneurship part, where you had to not be afraid, where you had to be willing to jump into it, where you had to really probably try several things before you got to the right path. Can you tell us a little bit more about this whole thing about becoming a digital entrepreneur?
Yeah, sure. Can you hear me? Okay. Thanks to be here. And when you invited me, you shared one question with me, that is, what do I need to start a digital business? Okay, this is the same question that I've done to myself a few years ago when I had the first thought of start my own digital business. And I just realized I didn't have inside of me all the competencies and all the know-how that I need for starting digital businesses. So what I've done is just try to join one. So I applied for a few positions and started to work in my first startup when I was 21 years old. So here I learned that I was not ready. So I was not ready because I was not studying enough, not studying the right stuff that I will need when I come up with an idea. I was still not with any idea what to do about my business, my career. I was just studying at the university, but I was not ready anyway. So what really happens is that I attend a course for entrepreneurs where they teach me the entrepreneurship, not how to be an entrepreneur, because I think no one can teach you how to be a successful entrepreneur, because otherwise they will be outside making money. But they teach me how to be entrepreneurial. So it was a program sponsored by Microsoft, so I'm thankful. And I was working in a bank, I quit my job, and I started my own idea. And the base for answering this question is that I didn't have all inside myself all the competencies that I need for start a digital enterprise, a digital startup. So I was looking for other people that have different background from myself, and I was not able to code at all. So I want to launch a startup, ICT based, without any skill on coding. And so I just found other people with the same willingness, same vision, but with different competencies that helped me to do what I was dreaming to do. And now we are working together for almost 1 year and a half. We hired our first employee. And what I want to share is that this morning, when I helped Emanuele teach, when I helped Emanuele during this day, we found out that in just four hours, he got the opportunity to almost establish 2 important partnerships for his business, just because in my office there were other startups working in his field. So what I think is more important is just to ask other people, to ask advice, to collaborate, to be open on what they are doing. So anyone can help you with your business. Just few minute talks can open new doors, can open new angle of what you are doing on your business that you just don't see because you're not aware of. So it's just take every opportunity that you can have, look around, don't be stable, don't be lazy on what you're doing, because if you want to be an entrepreneur, you cannot be just here waiting for someone else to do the job for you.
You have to go find those resources
Yeah.
that you need. There was a question from the audience before I go to you, Emanuele. There was a question over there. Sir.
Can I do a question of the Gary Coman?
Sure.
You are a fantastic man for me because I love the Cisco. And I passed the first level of the Cisco and I expected the second level of the Cisco. And my question is, who did you have the idea to create the Cisco?
When did we have the idea to create the Cisco Networking Academy?
Yes.
It's interesting because it's, as many things, born out of necessity. When the internet was very early in its development, there was although the numbers might be small, a huge lack of skills to be able to go into businesses, build networks, connect to the internet, build applications. These skills didn't exist because they were jobs that were created before the schools could teach the subject. They were created after the schools were teaching the students. So we had to find a way to work with the school systems to start to educate students to have the capabilities to then go build the internet that got created over the next 15 years. The Networking Academy program is 17 years old. If anything, it was a little late. And it's something that makes us very nervous because when we think of the next evolution of technology, which many of these young people are starting to start businesses in this space, that type of transition of having no internet to having the internet is the same type of transition which is happening now of having the internet and connecting it to everything that exists in the world. And we don't know what those jobs are. We don't know what those skills are going to be, but we're trying to figure that out and create that next wave of education and stay in front of it. It's maybe bigger than the creation of the internet itself. The connection of all devices to the internet may be bigger than the creation of the internet itself. So we need people going through the program like yourselves and continuing to work on this and telling us what's next and working with the youth in these types of programs to continue to figure out what those opportunities and jobs will be. So thank you for your participation. I'm not taking credit for it. You think I'm great, but there's a lot of great people that work on this and many other companies working together. As a technology as an industry, we compete many times in products, but we also work together to make this whole thing successful. And that's why you see Microsoft, Alcatel-Lucent, working on education initiatives like Cisco to make this happen. So thank you.
Thanks for that question. Coming to you, Emanuela, and then we have a question back there. Okay. Emanuela, you're an entrepreneur too. You got going when you were 17.
Yeah.
Do you agree about everything he just said about digital entrepreneurship and the challenges and what people need to do better?
Yeah. The first things that I have to say thanks for Francesco for the help to this morning, and I think that there are two big differences between the digital business and the traditional business. The first is that the digital business is too fast and you don't need a lot of money to start your business. And the second is that you can track all things in your business. So these are two things that the people can say, oh, the digital business is too easy. But I think that there are no big difference between the business because the rules are not changing. For example, today my business is not online business, and today Francesco teach me a new approach of work, new approach to organize the people that work with me, and there are no different because you have to plan your business, you have to decide where you will be in 1 day, in 1 month, or in 1 year. So, if you want do a business online, you have to know how the business works, online or not. So, you have to understand which is the rule, and you try to do this rule in your business. And there are no different in all business because the principal rule is all the same.
Well, I was just going to ask you, isn't this word digital entrepreneur, in a way, isn't it sort of for older generation people like me who, you know, we have to tell me the word digital and get it into my brain and then I can get it? Because really, we're talking about entrepreneurship in the 21st century. It will all be digital, it will all be online, it will all be part of the...
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, my business is not online business, but a lot of my clients come with the business online. So all business have to put the communication online, and they have to invest money in the marketing online.
Thanks very much for that. There was a question. I hope it's on.
I can scream? Okay. My name is Lubo. I'm from Bulgaria, entrepreneur as well as a lecture giver at a software university in Bulgaria. My question is actually to everybody. Well, in Bulgaria, we have those like academies where we teach people, ordinary people, to code. Why? Because the industry wants more and more talents, more and more programmers. And hence the typical education in Bulgaria cannot like catch up with non-stop changing trends in our information technology. and not only the typical education in terms of high school, but the universities as well. I want to question all of you, like to ask you the question, do you think that the future of learning how to code is in school or out of it?
Is
Thank you.
learning how to cope in school or out of school? Code out of in school or out of school?
Well,
Jacopo?
Okay. Can you right now?
Yeah.
Okay. I think we have a situation in Europe that we have youth unemployment from one side, and from the other side, industry looking for people skilled in ICT sector or with e-skill. We should all work together, like university, government, companies, and firms, all together to bring education, e-skill education or ICT education inside the school. And for me, as a student, the best way to learn it is learning by doing. So touching the topic, play with technology, play with coding, for example, be creative. And in my opinion, the format we should use is learning by doing, but also have fun, have the fun component inside. Because if you are youth and you just learn how to code, you cannot see the fun in mathematics, I guess. I cannot see the fun in mathematics. I know I'm more brave than people. But if you put the fun inside, it stay with you, stick in your mind.
So you have to apply the coding to real situations, and then you have a much more impact on. Okay. Yes, Francesca?
yes, I think that what is important that in school, primary and secondary school, I think that should be activities to make people love ICT skills and technical skills, so that they can orientate their university or other studies on ICT sector. So it's something that can orientate the STEM skills and going to STEMs, because as you know, STEMs is open door to work, to job, and so I think this is very important in primary, secondary school, and today is not like this.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
If
Sergio?
And
I'm
also
sorry, Francesca.
in special, sorry, no, sorry, and absolutely for women, we have to remove the monster is perceived in coding and technical skills, because it's well, a degree in mathematics, and I think that is a good job. We can do it with passion and with a different mix, a different diversity in this kind of job. I think that could be excellent results, not only for gender, but for every kind of diverse workforce.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Sergio,
I think this is in line with what I was saying before about change the way how the people are learning. He was mentioning before that there was the need to create trainings for people because the school were behind us. The technology was already there and the school were not there to teach the technology. And this will happen more and more. With all these startups popping up here and there, the technology is going fast like this. The organizations are more slower. So in my view, the new way of learning will be more based on the individual. And we need to remember, we need to, in order to work in this field, you need to study all the life. Otherwise, in 1 or 2 years, you are already obsolete. So you need to take care of your own development, and the school and the organization, they need to give you the instruments to assess the data that are in the internet at the end, that are available properly in order to have the right information you need to be successful in what you want to be successful. That's, in my view, the big shift.
Yes.
If we stay with the traditional way of learning, training people, educate people, I believe that the technology will run fast and all the rest will be behind and without creating the right positive ecosystem and opportunities. So my recommendation to all these young people is, remember that there is a lot of fun in ICT, but you will need to continue to be curious and to work on it, develop yourself, because it's the only way to be on the market of the job at the end.
Well, Sergio, thank you for that, because I think it sort of puts a nice, almost encompassing comment on what we're really dealing with here. We have only a couple of minutes left, and I want to just make sure that I've covered the people who had any questions from the audience. Okay, did you wanted to say something,
I
Carlo?
just wanted to compliment and to rebound on what Sergio is saying about the question on and or. I don't think it can be an or. It has to be an and, because there will be always a place for specialized, like software coding academy.
Yeah.
And as you say, you will learn all your life.
Yeah.
But because the role of school is not to teach stuff, but it's to teach how to learn.
Yes.
I need to learn how to learn. You cannot have the IT skill outside. It has to be in the alphabet.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, you don't know that you have to learn it.
Yes.
So maybe it's not the complete spectrum of things that you can do at school, but coding and IT has to be part of the alphabet that kids
Mm-hmm.
learn. And then they will know that it exists. Some will make out of that a job. Some will learn just the minimum to do another job,
Mm-hmm.
but at least they know it exists and they can do something with it.
Yes. Well said, thank you. So I've been trying to scribble a few things here, to just a couple of sort of concluding comments about what you've said here. And one of the things that came out of the discussion was this blend of competences being really supremely important, that the blend of things important for young people to build in a balanced way, and also learning all the time about how you can improve that sort of kaleidoscope of competences. Another area which came out very strongly was this, the need for more partnership between business and education, so that there's more awareness for young people to see what's really going on. But you also mentioned intergenerational, that it's very powerful just to be exposing people who are already in work to people who are not yet in work, putting these two generations together. And the third area was this whole thing about transformation in education with teacher training, embedding these things inside the curriculum. Have I missed anything in those three comments? Do you think we've covered? Yeah?
Yeah, yes.
Okay. Jacobo's going to come back to me later with. Okay. Yes?
Maybe there is just one thing. I don't want to talk too much, but I have the opportunity, so. I think in the past English was needed for the job, and now it's a must.
Mm-hmm.
ICT skills was needed, now it's a must. But we should also promote also the soft skills, the entrepreneurial skills, because with only ICT skills, we cannot look forward. We need the creativity, we need new idea, we need the entrepreneurial attitude to bring that into a business or into a solution.
Mm-hmm.
That's just what I want to add.
Great addition, I would say. Thank you very much. I want to give a round of applause to our fantastic panel, so thank you very, very much.